Hello students, this is CA Pragnesh Kanabar over here. Welcome to the discussion of amendments as applicable for December 21 attempt in audit subject. Without wasting time, my intention is to create a short video, crisp video discussing all the amendments. So without wasting time, we'll come to the topic straight away. So this is just an extract of your RTP that has been uploaded on the institute's website. Now if I just make a total of the chapters which have been impacted by the amendments actually are your company audit, tax audit and audit of banks. Yes, these are the topics which are actually impacted with amendments. However, when you go to the list of when you surf through RTP, you realize that there are some chapters whose links they have uploaded over here. Company audit mein to there are actually amendments. There is audit of NBFC, audit of PSU, liabilities of auditor. Now, why they have given the link of the whole topic itself? Basically, they have in the revised modules they had printed Caro 2020, correct? But for December 21 attempt, they have continued with Caro 2016. So the chapters which were impacted by Caro, their whole link has been uploaded. So these are old chapters which have been uploaded: audit of NBFC, liabilities of auditor and audit of public sector undertaking. Company audit, actually there are amendments, correct, and tax audit there are amendments. Now because there are amendments in company audit, it also has impact on audit of banks. This is just an overview of the amendments, so don't be frightened with this list that you are seeing, of various topics. Oh my god, the whole chapter has been amended. Don't be frightened with that. You, whatever knowledge you have for the July 21 attempt or the from the revised modules of December 20 version, that same knowledge will be applicable for December 21 also, just that because they have not implemented Caro 2020 and it is Caro 2016, so they have just reframed the topic including Caro 2016, and Caro 16 video is already there on my YouTube channel. You can just go through that and finish it off. Alright, so as I told you, major amendments are there in company audit, tax audit. Because there are amendments in company audit, we have also an impact on audit of banks. So let us just quickly go through it. First, the company audit amendments. Okay, now because of Companies Amendment Act 2020, I hope you know about this Companies Amendment Act 2020, which became effective from December 2020 onwards. So because of that, there is an impact on the December 21 attempt, and these are the amendments which we'll just quickly go through. So section 140 of Companies Act 2013, which deals with removal, resignation, etc. Under that section 140 subsection 3, which is nothing but the filing of form ADT 3. When you fail to file form ADT 3, the penalties are given over here. Now everything remains the same, whatever you have discussed: minimum rupees 50,000 or the remuneration of auditor, whichever is less, plus 500 per day after the first day of the failure. But the overall amount of penalties, earlier it was 5 lakhs and now it is 2 lakh rupees. So we have seen rationalization of penalties in Companies Amendment Act 2020, and there is a little bit of reduction over here. That's it. All right. So all other knowledge remains the same. Now, so I would want you to read 140 subsection 3 from company audit book also, and just understand that instead of 5 lakh you have 2 lakh over here. Next, similarly for fraud reporting, section 143 subsection 12. So when you do not follow the requirements of 143 subsection 12 of reporting the fraud to the central government and all the requirements which are mentioned over there, then in that case the auditor of the company, be it the statutory auditor, cost auditor or the secretarial auditor, whoever be the responsible person, if you have not followed 143 subsection 12, then in that case, in case of a listed company, you will be liable to a penalty of rupees 5 lakh, and in case of any other company, be liable to a penalty of rupees 1 lakh. That is one point. So most of the rationalization of penalties amendments are there over here. All right. So earlier there was a little bit higher side penalty, which has now been reduced. So listed company penalty of 5 lakh, any other company penalty of 1 lakh rupees. All right. So I'm just quickly showing you from the official Gazette notification itself, because in company audit topic it is scattered everywhere. So they have not given amendments at one place. They have made the changes in the module and then they have uploaded the PDF. All right. Then section 147 of Companies Act, which talks about the consequences for violating chapter 10 audit and auditors. In that case, specifically the penalties which are applicable to the officers of the company, there it was fine or imprisonment or both. So that is why they have rationalized it. Look at this, imprisonment for a term which may extend to 1 year has been omitted. So imprisonment has been omitted for officers of the company. And look at this, 1 lakh rupees or both, the word 1 lakh shall be substituted. So basically imprisonment punishment they have completely eliminated. So now it is minimum 10,000 rupees, maximum rupees 1 lakh. All right. So that is the point over here. Okay. And then there is one minor correction, and which can practically have a big impact, but that's okay. Currently I know that if you're looking at the videos, you are focused on the academic things over here. So in 147 subsection 2, where there are penalties prescribed for the auditor, 147 subsection 1 is for employees, company and the officers of the company, and 147 subsection 2 is the penalties prescribed for the auditor. Now over there they have given the list of section references, that if you violate so and so section, then there is a fine on you and stuff. And when if it is intentional, then there is another fine, imprisonment stuff, lots of prescription over there. So in that they have eliminated section 143. So if you violate 143, what will be the penalties on you? Now basically 143.12, if you violate, they have given it over in the section 143 subsection 15 itself. So that is why they have eliminated 143 over here in section 147 of the Principal Act. All right. So that is the only change in the list of penalties. Now, so from the range of section 139 to section 148 of Companies Act 2013, we are done with the amendment part. However, you need to focus on Rule 11 of Company Audit and Auditors Rules 2014. Just a minute. Yeah. Yes, over here we are. Rule 11 of Company Audit and Auditors Rules 2014. Basically, under section 143 subsection 3 of Companies Act 2013, there is a duty on the auditor to report upon certain matters. In that, there are matters having clauses A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Under J, they have said that in future, Ministry of Corporate Affairs can issue rules and include more matters in this. There were already some prescribed set of matters. First, second and third matter was already there. But Ministry of Corporate Affairs has now included some more matters, and because of that, reporting requirements of auditors have all of a sudden become very interesting. But currently I am focused on the academic discussions only. All right. So students, I am going to read this, but let me tell you broadly they are worried about what over here. So let us say if you are conducting audit of X Limited, one situation, and let us say X Limited has transferred funds to Y entity. All right, with a commitment to lend or invest in Z entity. So X has taken a commitment from Y that, boss, I am transferring funds to you, but you are going to transfer these funds, you are going to lend, you are going to invest, or you are going to give guarantee for the indebtedness of Z. So somehow you are going to provide the ultimate benefit to Z. All right. So over here, see, if such kind of arrangements and stuff, if it is disclosed in the notes to accounts, then at least there is transparency in the financial statements. But when things are not disclosed in the notes to accounts and management is trying to hide such kind of transactions, then auditor has been asked to specifically focus on these things. All right. So that is the situation. Can we now just read it to get the feel of it, what they are trying to say? Whether, because this is basically one effort to try and curb the fund diversion, whether the management has represented that. So did the management tell you, represent you? So basically we will take a written representation for this particular point in writing itself, that to the best of its knowledge and belief, other than as disclosed in the notes to accounts. So if such transaction has been disclosed in notes to accounts, fine, but outside the notes to accounts, has there been such kind of arrangement? No funds have been advanced or loaned. So this should not be done. That is why we'll take a written representation from the management in writing, that you please give it to us in writing, that no funds have been advanced or loaned or invested either from the borrowed funds or share premium or any other source or kind of funds. So from wherever X Limited has taken the funds. So no funds have been advanced or sourced or loaned or invested by the company, so X Limited, to or in any other person or any other entity, including foreign entities, intermediaries. Let us say in our example, it is the Y entity. Y is an intermediary, with the understanding, whether recorded in writing or otherwise, that the intermediary shall, acha, writing or otherwise, so with any understanding that you are aware of, that the intermediary shall, whether directly or indirectly, lend or invest in other persons or entities identified in any manner whatsoever by or on behalf of the company. So Y is going to invest in Z or lend to Z on behalf of X Limited. Okay, or provide any guarantee, security or the like on behalf of the ultimate beneficiary. So whatever loans Z has taken, for the loans of Z, Y will provide a guarantee. So basically some benefit of the funds is being given to Z. The funds were received from X, don't forget about it. So Y is just acting as a transferer, as an intermediary, as a via media. So Z is the ultimate beneficiary. This is typical case of fund diversions. All right. So auditor should take a written representation from the management that these things have not been done. Okay, so the more problem is when these things happen outside the notes to accounts with not, that means there is no transparent disclosure in the notes to accounts for these points. All right. Now, in the second case, if you have understood the first case, the second case is going to go much faster. So in the second case, the company which you are auditing, whether it itself is acting like an intermediary for some other entities. All right. So in the first case, the company which you are auditing, whether that company itself has diverted the funds. In the second case, the company which you are auditing, whether it itself is acting as an intermediary. So P entity has given funds to X Limited. Don't forget that you are conducting audit of X Limited. All right. And X Limited is going to lend, invest in another entity, Q entity. Let us see that whether the management has represented. So once you create the diagram, then you can write it in proper English, otherwise it is going to create problems. Whether management has represented that to the best of its knowledge and belief, other than as disclosed in the notes to accounts, no funds have been received by the company from any person or entity. Okay, from any person or entity, including foreign entities, funding parties. So we have P entity over here as the funding party, with the understanding, whether recorded in writing or otherwise, that the company shall, whether directly or indirectly, lend or invest in other persons or entities identified in any manner whatsoever by or on behalf of the funding party. All right, so ultimate beneficiary over here is Q. So is our company X Limited, the company that we are auditing, is it acting like an intermediary? Sir, what if we are not able to present in exams in word to word, same word to word style? See, this is amendment. So I hope you are going to give some more weightage to it, some more priority to it. But if you are not able to present word to word, it's okay. Relax. All right. Okay. But do not change the whole meaning itself. So this is the whole audit that we are expected to perform over here. Now, based on such audit procedures, so based upon whatever procedures you have done, that the auditor has considered reasonable and appropriate in the circumstances, nothing has come to their notice that has caused them to believe that the representations contain any material misstatement. So basically, we have to take written representations from the management, and then we have to perform our own procedures, to verify whether these misstatements are accurate or not. Sorry, whether these written representations, I'm so sorry, whether they are accurate or not. So we have to take written representations from the management and verify it on our own, because we know this very well that written representation in itself is not a sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. We have to perform our own procedures. We have discussed this in SFIAT also. All right. So this is one full point on, you just remember, okay, intermediaries, ultimate beneficiaries, funding parties, fund diversion points, fund diversion points. Okay. Then there were some more points added by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, whether the dividend declaration and payment is in compliance with section 123 of Companies Act. I hope that you are aware about this, that in the question bank of the module of company audit, there are some dividend declaration questions. Only a fool is going to skip such questions. Do not skip those questions, because dividend declaration calculation questions can be asked in the exams. It has been one of their favorites, and now there is an official requirement also to report whether it is in compliance with section 123 or not. So the depreciation calculations and stuff, whether they are in accordance with the sections. All right. And then there is one requirement which is going to start from financial year commencing on or after 1st April 2022, but let us just read it because they have printed it. So if the company has used accounting software for maintaining its books of accounts, which has a feature of recording audit trail facility. So whether the company, if the company is using accounting software, it should have some feature of recording the audit trail. What is audit trail? That you can trace the transactions from beginning to end. So edit and recording, specifically the edit log facility. What is edit log? So log file should be maintained whenever the documents were accessed, whenever the entries were accessed, and the same has been operated throughout the year for all transactions. An audit trail feature has not been tampered with. An audit trail has been preserved by the company as per the statutory requirements for record retention. You know that as per section 128, books of accounts read with the company accounts rules, there is a requirement that if the company is using the accounting software, they should be able to present the audit trail, the accounting trail of the transactions. All right, and they need to preserve it. So this is the point. Audit trail in case of accounting software. How are you going to remember it? Audit trail in case of accounting software. So tell me the new points that are added, 4th, 5th and 6th. 4th point is all about fund diversion. Whether the auditee, means the company that you're auditing itself, is diverting the funds or acting as an intermediary. 5th point is about dividend declaration, and 6th point is about the audit trail in case of the software is being used for recording the accounting data. All right. Then, of course, I would request you to read these bold points in the module of company audit. No, these points are not amendments. These are going on since a lot of time. Just that, these are some important points. That's it. Otherwise, the whole topic is important. We know about it. All right. Now, but this video is not for giving preparation tips and stuff. For that, I have different videos. I'll just focus on the points that we need to discuss over here. So, company audit amendments discussion is done. I hope you are through with this now. Okay. Then what else do we have over here? Tax audit amendments. Mostly students keep audit under fiscal laws in option, and that is not a great call by the students. you should finish off audit under fiscal laws properly, because any time it can be asked in the paper. Every attempt there is always reserved question for audit under fiscal laws. All right. Now, revision of tax audit report. Normally, tax audit report once issued cannot be revised unless the underlying financial statements based upon which the tax audit report was prepared, those financial statements itself are revised, or there are some retrospective changes which require revision and the revision is required by law. In that case, we may go for a revised tax audit report, and we should write in the revised tax audit report that this is a revised tax audit report. This is the normal content printed in the module. Now, there is one revision which was allowed by the Central Board of Direct Taxes, and that is what we are going to go through now. Okay, students, under section 40 and section 43B, you know that section 40 is for disallowances of some expenses which are not allowed in the computation of income, because they will be allowed only when you spend it, only when you pay for it, and 43B allows it when you spend or pay for it. All right, so we know you already are aware about these sections at this stage, at least when you're looking at this video. So what was the problem is that the tax audit report due date was falling much earlier than these deductions, recalculations that you were claiming. So it was like tax audit report due date falling a little bit earlier than the recalculations done by these sections, because these sections recalculations, they do have an impact on our taxable income. So that is the reason that for the assessees who already submitted their tax audit report, but this recalculations of these sections and its impact was pending on the calculation of the taxable income, just to remove one admin trouble, a clerical procedural trouble, revision of tax audit report was allowed in this exceptional case. All right, that's it, nothing more than that. That is the only point over here, right? Okay, so I hope that you are through with this. If you do not have the knowledge of section 40 and 43B of Income Tax Act, then in that case, though, we have to go through detailed tax audit and taxation laws discussion, which is not the intention of this particular video. Okay, now, but normally these sections are favorite of the students, so that should not be a problem. All right, students, I hope that you are aware about this fact, that how for some domestic companies the income tax introduced a completely new regime, offering companies one option to pay tax at a concessional rate of 22%. Similarly, for individuals, HUF, cooperative societies, these sections 115BAC and 115BAD, a whole new regime was introduced. Now, when this regime is introduced, naturally this option to pay tax at a concessional rate comes at a cost of sacrificing some deductions, some claims which you can normally take under your business income. All right. So that is why now wherever these depreciation deductions or some other deductions which were coming up, which are normally allowed in our business income. So because if you opt under this tax regime of concessional tax rates, those allowances, those deductions, claims which are normally allowed are no more allowed, and obviously wherever the tax audit clauses discuss those points, that is where the amendments came up. I am just telling you the base of the amendments. All right. So when you just look at this, otherwise what happens, students, they go into a panic mode. Oh my God, there is an amendment under this clause, then this clause, then this clause, then this clause. But the whole source of the amendment was introduction of 115BAC and BAD. All right. Okay. So in clause 8A, whether the assessee has opted for such taxation, then you have clause 18. Look at this, where they have now included the discussions of 115BAC and BAD. Of course, you will see these things for depreciation calculations also. Yeah, clause 32 with this. All right. Withdrawal of additional depreciation on account of opting under this taxation. Okay. So that is the base of couple of amendments, right? 115 BSc and BAT. Now, this is the intention of this video is to discuss the amendments, not the whole 100% concepts behind every single clause over here. All right. So I hope that when you are looking at this video, because many students requested me to shoot an amendment specific video. So when you are looking at this video, at least the one assumption that I am taking is that you are aware about the theory behind these clauses. All right. Now, there was this clause 17 where the whole clause has been substituted. Following clause shall be substituted where any land or building or both is transferred during the previous year for a consideration less than the value adopted or assessed or assessable by any authority of a state government referred to in section 43CA or 50C. Please give the details of the property. Alright, so look at this. Land or building or both is transferred during the period for a consideration less than the value adopted for us, or less than the value adopted or the value as accessible by the authority. So you know that when you transfer it at a value which is less than the fair value, then in that case these things get attracted, and that is the clause over here. The details need to be given. Okay. Next, clause 36, why it has been omitted? Because the dividend distribution tax has been abolished. Abolished means now the dividend will be taxable straight away in the hands of the recipients itself. Earlier it was taxable in the hands of the company, exempt in the hands of the recipients. So that is why the at company level checking that dividend distribution tax point and the comments upon that has been eliminated. That's it. That is why clause 36 has been omitted. So these are the amendments for tax audit. Now, why do you see the amendment in this topic of audit of banks? Are Baba, that section 143 subsection 3, duty to report upon certain matters, correct? That section 143 subsection 3 is also applicable in case of audit of banks. So that is why that whole fund diversion point, dividend declaration points that we just finished over there, you know, and then accounting software, audit trail, whether it has or not, those points are over here also. Instead of company, they have written bank. That's it. Because 143 subsection 3 of Companies Act is also applicable for audit of banks. I hope that you are through with this. That is why there is an amendment over here. All right. Otherwise, the chapters, the links which have been given over here, these links that you see, company audit already discussed with you. Audit of NBFC, it is because in NBFC there are some CARO discussions, so they have reprinted that topic with CARO 2016 discussions. Then we have liabilities of auditor. Again, there are these CARO discussions over there for fraud reporting, so that is why they have reprinted this topic. Just to give you importance of liabilities of auditor, just since they have printed this, you know, they have reprinted this, so just talking about this topic, just solve the question bank of liabilities of auditor properly, and the section oriented discussions which are there in the second half of the topic, you know, just read those discussions properly. Liabilities under Companies Act, liabilities for misstatement in prospectus, liabilities for under the Taxation Act when you're acting as a tax representative or as tax auditor, you know, you can just go through that. Okay. Audit of PSU, again, since there are discussions on CARO 2016, that is why they reprinted this topic. You see this? Okay. And then, yeah. Done? Done. All right. So after that, there are question bank discussions over here. Question bank discussions, these question oriented videos will keep coming on my YouTube channel, especially for MCQ related stuff. So stay connected. So that is my discussion on the December 21 CA final audit RTP. Thank you so much.